guess I'll start by just saying, like you said, God is good, and I can't begin to explain how much it's changed me. But I guess I'll start off like I had a great childhood. I can't complain. I'm like to say I'm sorry for what she went through, but I mean, I can't. I had a great mom and a great dad. I just lost him when I was 10. He died, but and I kind of used to question that. I guess I could say it hurt so bad. I guess I used to question why God would do something like that. But you know, as I grew older, I realized that He did it because He had His reasons, and He knew was the only one that knew what they were. But I can't begin to explain how bad that hurt. But you know, it changed my whole family. By the time I was 13, I was experimenting with controlled substances of certain. You know, they weren't. I didn't think they were as bad, but of course, it led on to more and more. And by the time I was 15 years old, I was a full-fledged addict. And 16, dropped out of school, and my mom was doing her best. It actually was too good to me the whole time. She was better than most people. I look back at some people's families, and I'm just more than grateful. I can't begin to explain how much of a great mom I had. I mean, she was way too good, but still, I just kept doing the drugs and dropped out of school at 16. I guess by the time I was 19, I went back to college and become a correctional officer, but was still doing drugs the whole time, selling drugs or doing them, and just wasting my life. And then finally, when I was 21, my oldest son, or my only son, but my oldest child, he was born, and he was not biologically mine, but I raised him since day one as mine, and he was the only thing that I had good in my life besides my mom and my sister, and I took it for granted. Should have stopped the drugs and didn't. And then went on a few more years, and I guess back in 2010, I went to jail, I went to jail for the first time. And I did about 3 or 4, I got out overnight and went right back to messing up with the same girl I was with and drinking and doing drugs. And I was back in jail 3 weeks later for the same thing. Still didn't change after that. I got probation, got out, did 6 months of probation, and it lasted, man, I'm talking about I was in jail for 4.5 months, I think. That was the worst time of my life. I never thought I'd ever go back. But as soon as I got out 6.5 months later, I was right back to it. And it just, I never dreamed I'd be on it again, but I was right back to it. That's all I cared about, really, I guess, was drugs. And the whole time, now looking back on it, I never turned to God for anything, you know. And I used to go to church when I was a kid, but looking back at it, I can't believe I never did. I can't even say that, as sad as it is, how many times I probably really never even, I don't think I've ever really turned to Him one time to pray, to ask for anything, or try to get Him to help me when He was there the whole time. I just turned my back on Him. But then I met my baby's mother, Jessica. Was actually the best thing that ever happened to me, and didn't realize it. And besides my kids, of course, you know, I don't know, that is the absolute best blessing of all. But whenever she got pregnant with my first daughter, she was preemie like these here. She was born 12 weeks early, and I called myself straightening it up and doing right. But the whole time I was just lying to everybody, and that's really the one thing that I know. I don't want to say I was mad at myself for it. I kind of used to think I hated myself, but Promised Land is what helped me forgive myself. But my daughter was born, and I took off on the road and tried to do better, and kind of lied to everybody, like I said, acting like I was doing better, knowing the whole time I was still getting high and wasting money that I could have been raising my family with on getting high. And of course, it breaks my heart looking back, but I wouldn't be where I'm at today, I guess. But then just less than 2 years later, my other daughter was born, and I gained another daughter out of it. She's my stepdaughter, but of course, I've had her in my life long enough. She's still one of my children, and that's all four of mine. Zane, Madison, Jaden, and Jolie was the absolute best blessings of all that I ever could have been given, besides the fact that I had the best mom in the world, you know what I mean? And I let drugs and I guess the dark side of the devil was still hanging out my life too much. And I almost thought I was at the end, you know what I mean? I used to tell myself every day that I hated myself and I wanted to die, and I can't believe I would do such a thing, you know what I mean? Because I had such a wonderful family that's sitting there right beside me the whole time, and I was just letting them down. And I have an older sister that I didn't see a whole lot, but I still love her, and I gained a couple nieces out of that, and I got a great nephew and a great niece, and I have my sister that's only about 16 months older than me, which I also, is a big part of my life, my testimony, that I let her and her husband down, my brother-in-law Kelvin, and they're part of the reason why I'm so thankful that they stood beside me. God was there the whole time, and like I say, turned my back on Him. But I can't even imagine how many times I've heard all of them, especially now looking back at my kids, because I know how much kids look up to their parents, and we're like superheroes to them, you know what I mean? And I was sitting out there just lying to them the whole time. But then I went to jail after getting that 5 years papers in 2019. When I went back to jail, I guess it's kind of like my third time going back to jail. I went to jail for some silly junk and breaking into abandoned houses. Something I can't believe I was doing over drugs, and I needed it. I thought I was going to get clean. I called myself being done with it. Went there, sat for another 6.5 months, and I was back in the substances before I made it home when I got out, man. And I look back at it now and just can't believe it. I'm so disappointed in myself, and I just went straight downhill from there. I thought I was actually going to get a chance with my baby mama again, and I lied to her and my family and everybody else once again, and it didn't last no time. I was so far gone, it was unreal, and I lasted, I guess, because of COVID. I guess it would have probably been before that, but because of COVID, I didn't have to check in for probation, and as soon as it was over with, he called me, and I failed a UA, and that was the best thing I ever done. He gave me an opportunity before he handed me that cup, and he looked at me when I handed it back to him and said, "Is there something you want to say?" And I started crying and asked him, could I get some help? It was a scary feeling. He let me go home that day, and I didn't know what to do. I was scared to death. I knew what time it was when I went back that next month, what it was going to be, and I sort of ran for 3 months, even though I voluntarily asked for help, and he said he'd get me help, and I ran for 3 months, and then when I went to jail that day, I had never been so scared in my life. I'd been to jail before, and I didn't think it sucked, but it was. I was scared because I felt like I was letting my kids down so bad, and I was so scared my family wouldn't be there this time when I got back out. But they offered me rehab, like my probation officer said he'd get me. And I used to be mad at him a little bit, but I'd like to tell him that when I see him again, I'm gonna thank him because he did give me an opportunity. He told me that he'd get me help, and I signed for Promised Land. I was actually offered a couple others, but I heard about a lot of bad things about Promised Land from people that I guess now looking back, I know they were probably just not putting it into the program what they should have, or open their heart to God, which was part of the program. And when I came here, I was skeptical. There's a couple guys, y'all will meet him in a few minutes, David O'Brien and Devin Hires, Tim Smith. We came here together, and we was doing some work for Brandon one day, and I bet if y'all could have heard the recording of it, what I said, it's embarrassing how I was doubting God or the whole program. And we came on November 9th, and come December 14th, I had a dream that God come to me in my dream, which I believe is when I was saved. And another one of my brothers woke me up. When he woke me up that day, it was the most amazing feeling I'd ever had in my life. I honestly woke up and felt like I had been saved. And since that day, it's changed me. Promised Land's the reason. But God's what did it, but it's because I came here and I was meant to be here. I lay my head down every night and pray to God and look at my baby's pictures, and I hate being away from them, but He's put a peace in my heart. You know what I'm saying? I forgive myself. I can't believe I even say that, and I feel like I'm being selfish because I don't want my family to think that I am sorry for what I've done to them, and I really am. It hurts still thinking about it, but I forgave myself, and I hope they find it in their heart to forgive me when they see that I'm walking with God now. And nobody's perfect, you know what I mean? I'm not sitting there saying I am, and I know I'll never be. I won't even try to be. I'm just going to strive to be like Jesus would want me to be. But I love what He's done for me. And I love trying to do things for people to try to help them, just like this testimony tonight. Maybe it may be just a bunch of jumbled words, but He's done a lot for me, man. And Promised Land it's hard and it's aggravating at times, but man, it's the best thing ever happened to me. And I'll never forget December 14th when Chris Brock woke me up, man. That was the best feeling of my life, man. I woke up to go eat dinner and was trying to get back to that day, and I woke up at the right time. And my life's been completely different since, man, and God is amazing. Actually, like she said, you can't be more than, I've got 6 months clean now. Matter of fact, too, I guess I meant to say that, too, a while ago. I got a praise report. I've been clean 6 months. It's the first time in my life I know what day the last time was I used any substance. And it's been the best 6 months of my life, even though I've been away from my kids, but I'll be home soon, though. And I got nobody but God to thank. Pastor Glenn and Miss Vera, Mr. Ed, JJ, Uncle Richie, Brandon, Uncle Steve, Matt, whether he believes it or not. And everybody can do it. And I got a long, hard road ahead of me, too. But I just can't thank God enough. You know what I'm saying? He really is amazing. And I want to stand right here now, and I hope she's watching. My mom is the main person I want to be proud of me. I hope she forgives me, and my sister and my babies. But it's one person I really want, because she deserved better than what I did for her. I hope she knows that I have changed, and I appreciate everything she ever done. I did it, you know what I'm saying, and through God, and I would have done it without him. Like Nate said when he got here, he didn't even have to be here, man. He wasn't like some of us. He didn't have to do it through probation or whatever. He wasn't forced to be here, and he's an inspiration to people, you know what I'm saying? He really is. We got a new guy that's done the same thing, and he seems to be on the same path too. He's doing real good, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't imagine making myself. I'd have never done it. I'd have never walked in here myself. But I was forced to come here, but, you know what I mean? They could walk off at any time, and they don't. It's awesome to see somebody do something like that, you know what I mean? And I just can't thank God enough. And Pastor Glenn, what they do here, that people will talk bad about it all they want, but man, this place is awesome, you know what I'm saying? It's aggravating, but what ain't? Any job is, it's just every day out there, you're going to run into something that could drive you crazy, but it's an awesome feeling, and it's been the best 6 months of my life. We'll be done next month, and I'll be glad to be home with my babies, but I'll never forget Promised Land. It was one of the best things ever happened to me, absolutely the best thing ever happened to me. Thank y'all.
Amen.